Jamie was invited with her married boyfriend to go look for houses in the Las Vegas, Nevada area while on vacation there. He had convinced Jamie they were going to have a fun photo shoot together in the sandy desert to deepen their relationship since he was her boyfriend. She trusted him as any woman in a relationship would. Little did she know the plan John had in store for her waiting. If you are new to the channel, thanks so much for being here. Oh, wow. If you are new to the channel, thanks so much for being here. I'm Jessie Stories, aka Jessie, and I'm from Escaping Twin Flames on Netflix. I was in a true crime docuseries, and there is an ongoing investigation for Twin Flames universe by the Attorney General in Michigan. If I remembered her name, I would totally tell you, but I don't. Being in the docuseries inspired me to pick up on the true crimes of people with disabilities. They are the most vulnerable, key in there, vulnerable, and least talked about. They also have the highest rate of true crime happening to them compared to able bodies. Brown, Black, disabled people are the least reported of them all and least represented of them all in social media and media in general. I just wanted to point that out. There's a few I follow that I love hearing their perspectives of. I would have to check in with them if I were to leave the links down below, but we aren't there yet with the ones I follow. No, I shall continue. I myself am a disabled person with autism and ADHD and work in my day job with children of disabilities, so these topics are close to my heart. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, share with a friend, share with a family member, share with someone who is interested in learning about something maybe they don't know about. Maybe this is a new subject or they were never aware of this. Make people aware. Help me make people aware. That's my main point when I ask you to like, subscribe. I don't care about subscriber counts. I do right now because that means more people are watching and more people are getting educated. But I understand when it's not. So if you're all up for the cause of educating people about disabilities, I will be covering the true crime, and I already started the process of inviting some professionals to help me break down some of the abuse. I actually will be quoting one of the professionals I asked, who's a social worker with her PhD, known as Dr. C. But let me continue. I myself, blah, 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 blah. Yes, if you like my content, please like, subscribe. Make sure to always do your own research and form your own opinion. That is so important to form your own opinion. That keeps you from joining high control groups. So you don't ever have to agree with me and what I put forward in my using my abilities as an autistic person. I purposely put them to use in every one of these cases so I can get down to the very core of it. So I pay attention to details. I pay attention to patterns. If I have to rewatch something or redo something, I will, to make sure I'm getting all the information and getting it unbiasedly, since most people who are disabled get a biased opinion. And I want to make it as neutral as possible, but still being on the side of what's already looked at as inhuman, since most people with disabilities are in fact looked at that way, whether it's a seen or unseen disability, which that's a little gray area in the first place. Anyway, I do go on random rants. That's my ADHD, and I will not change that. So sometimes you'll see me reading off the script fully. Sometimes you'll see me talking directly to you. No problem. It's just going to depend on things. But anyways, from silent voices to shining light, stories that inspire awareness and change. Thanks so much for being here. Now let's get back to Jamie's story. Jamie had been on and off with Chapman, so his name is John Chapman. I'm not going to show a picture of him. I don't care about him, and I don't want to give him too much attention. Sadly, there's more information about him than there is Jamie, so I'm going to do my best of focusing on her. For a decade or so, her family did not trust him, considering he was a married man with a disabled woman. There is always unfair power dynamic, in my opinion, when there is a able-bodied with a disabled individual. I'm not saying they can't be together and make it. There's just an unfair disadvantage physically. Jamie was born with Vader syndrome. It is also known as vectoral, which stands for affected parts of the body, including vertebrae, butt, heart, throat, kidney, and limb. Each case is unique in treatment. To put it simply, just birth defects and growth abnormalities within the body. Vader syndrome affects 1 out of every
10,000 to 40,000 newborns. The rate could be underestimated since each individual varies symptoms, and this is not a genetic syndrome, it's a birth one. Jamie was the size of a child. By friends and family, Fenton was described as very loving and kind. She helped the community with her openness and kindness. She worked at an elderly home and was a well-loved worker there. Jamie's best friend, Danielle Fence, in a testimony in court, said Jamie was tiny and trusting. She was a sister to her and a very protective of her. And Jamie had taken pictures of the road trip along the way, the road trip with John to Las Vegas, Nevada, to her until they suddenly stopped, which led to her best friend's suspicion that something wasn't right. Neighbors, after months of not hearing from her, became suspicious and called for a health check, only to find John in Jamie's home. Prior to these events, John had zip tied Jamie to a signpost standing up for a bondage photo shoot, as he called it, which is disgusting. He used the bondage photo shoot as a intimidation, since, as Dr. C puts it, both intimidation and isolation happen simultaneously at the same time to the victim. He had already taken her away from her family. This would be the isolation part of coercive control. So coercive control is another word for brainwashing. And when you're in an abusive relationship, you are, whether you are consciously aware of it or unconsciously aware of it, being brainwashed through my own healing process, as I talked about. That's not even the past stuff you get to hear about in my memoir. Through my own healing process, I've become extremely aware, more aware than I have been in years. And being aware of your own self, you can easily pick up red flags and, yeah, sometimes still ignore them. Don't always look at the best of people. That sometimes can be a red flag within yourself. There are good people. I'm learning that. But yeah, so the part of coercive control, remember, that's just another term that's more accepting of brainwash. So no one could be there to help her. She was isolated. So taken to Las Vegas, middle of nowhere, then put duct tape around her mouth and nose until she suffocated to death. He watched her die, and then he took a photo of her. So I guess to make his story more believable for himself is, in my personal opinion, he was trying to convince himself about what he was doing was still right, and yet not being too smart about it, since he's pretty much giving away all his own evidence. A scary and unpleasant way to die. Against her will, she was coerced into her death, in my personal opinion. But her boyfriend of off and on, I keep on saying off and on again because that's a vital part. So there's a mix of emotions already in that relationship, because they were together, then they were off, they were together, and then they were off. That plays with someone's emotions quickly, on at least, I would assume, Jamie's part. That, do I love him? Do I not love him? Are we actually together? Are we going to break up again? The questions that could be forming in her head during those 10 years with a douchebag, in my personal opinion. Actually, douchebag is really putting it nicely, but I'm not going to say on YouTube the words I want to. And then he proceeded to unzip boyfriend on and off again of 10 years she thought she could trust. He then proceeded to unzip her and take off the duct tape, lay her dead body naked on a rock. He discarded all the evidence along the way. How he did this, I don't know, whether throwing it away in trash cans, burning it somewhere random in a forest. They don't have the evidence of that. And then he drove back to Pennsylvania and lived in her home. Jamie only received $200 a week from a trust she was in. John claims he killed for her money. I don't think he did that. I personally believe he just had a vendetta against those who are disabled. He was playing the part of a fake relationships to eliminate what he felt, in my personal opinion. I'm not him, but that's what it feels like. What it felt to have someone on the earth that didn't look and function as he did, which who would want to function like him? But that's just my personal opinion and thought process through the many articles I read. And I even watched Coffee and Crime, because she did a good, if you want to know more, I'll leave her link down below. She goes more into John's background, but on this channel, I'm going to focus on the victim, or if in the case a perpetrator is being falsely accused, like in my personal opinion of the case of Nathan Carmen, I will only be focusing on them. But when it's a victim getting murdered, raped, or anything like that, I'm sorry, I'm not going to highlight the person. I will try to get as much information as I can on the individual because that's important. And I'm sorry that my voice changes. I've been realizing that it does that. And a lot of people take that as an insincere way of things, but I'm literally just like losing my voice because I don't normally talk this much. I'm normally avoiding talking as an autistic person to save my energy, but I'm not doing that any longer. So bear with me. Thank you for being here. I will continue. He also played victim when he got back to Pennsylvania. Just to go back, when he had originally returned after killing Jamie, he pretended to play victim by saying Jamie broke up with him and living in her townhome. Neighbors had caught him cleaning out trash from his car, which was like a silver Jeep, I believe. In court documents, it shows that evidence presented during trial on November 14th, 2019, the Bethel Park Police Department in Pennsylvania conducted a welfare check on the victim at the request of a friend. We already have her name above. I'm not going to repeat it. During the check, neighbors had said they had not seen Jamie in 2 months. Neighbors had seen someone that looked like Chapman leaving and entering Jamie's home. Inside Jamie's home, the police officers found identification cards with Chapman's name and photographs, the victim's cellular telephone, multiple zip ties, and a roll of duct tape. On November 15th, 2019, Bethel Park Police Department detectives arrested and interviewed John. In the interview, he admitted that in September of 2019, he drove the victim from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania to Las Vegas, Nevada, Sin City. He even further admitted he tricked Jamie into believing it was a vacation and potentially buy a home in Vegas. His first instance, so now we're going to go back to proof. This is my proof to any viewer that's doubting that he had a thing against disabled people. His first instance of, and just like to steal stuff from them, apparently, specifically money. His first instance of stealing money from disabled individuals was between 2007 and 2011, stealing from several classmates at a school for the learning disabled. He took Social Security and tax information. He stole up to $130,000 from all of these disabled individuals. And as I stated before, I don't want to have to focus on him. And sadly, there's not a lot about Jamie here. The stuff I kind of wrote above, but I really like what the FBI and police department, the statements they had to say. But I do want to point out he did play the typical predator role, John, when he returned from Las Vegas. He did Darvo, so he switched the blame onto Jamie, who was dead, by the way, that he was the victim. Oh my goodness, because he was broken up with by her. This is a classic take of Darvo. So Darvo is deny. So he's denying his actions of murdering her and switching the story to fit his narration to be the victim, which is typical predator behavior, because that's what predators like to do. They like to take away someone's experience and not validate it. Anyways, it's weird that he confessed to her murder and also at the time let his wife know he had murdered Jamie. I don't know if he confessed. He thought he wouldn't go to prison. The judge in Nevada on this case made sure justice was served, which in a lot of the cases I will be handling, sadly, won't be the case. I only know because I have an entire list of over, I would say, 33 cases. And they're not, some are documentaries, some are actual cases. Some are things are just happening now. So it's a lot. But anyways, I feel that justice was definitely served. Jamie was seen as, just to point out this, so I don't know if he confessed because he thought he wouldn't go to prison. The judge in Nevada on this case made sure justice was served, which in a lot of cases I will be handling, sadly, won't be the case. Jamie was seen as the person she was, in my personal opinion, in this case. She didn't make major headlines like most people with disabilities do not. She did make local newspaper and local news stations. I personally would love to see more cases globally on the news of people with disabilities, since their lives are human lives that should be treated as such. Their rate of being in these crimes are high. I highly recommend going back. I'm gonna just only post in the description, maybe not right when I post up here, not description. This time around, I'm gonna do description and up here at the same time of my entire playlist so far of true crime disabilities. Please watch the entire playlist. I highly recommend. You can go back to get the specific statistics I looked up. I might rememorize them so I can keep on repeating them in each case I do, but my collab with Aaron from Let the Fresh Aaron, I tell the exact high, I should say, percentage, though it's most under, wow, my brain's not working. It's the most undertold to police and stuff. Okay, anyways, just go back to that video with Aaron if you want to see those statistics, and I highly recommend watching it fully through. We both worked hard on that, and even seeing my 1939 Germany video so you can get some history and background on disabled people, and even my very first video that I was just testing the waters because I'm learning as I go. Anyways, in May of 2024, John Matthew Chapman was found guilty of one count kidnapping resulting in death. District Judge James C. Mahan sentenced Chapman to the maximum penalty, life in prison. And this is really cool what they said. United States Attorney Joseph M. Freeman said the defendant violated the victim's trust by luring her away from her family and friends in the Pennsylvania and out in the Nevada desert, where he viciously killed her. This sentence should send a clear message to others that kidnapping and killing another person will result in substantial prison sentence. Thank you to our federal and local law enforcement partners for their hard work in bringing justice for the families victims. And now the FBI, which that means this is a very big case. Spencer L. Evans for the FBI of Las Vegas field office said today's sentencing holds the defendant accountable for the callous and brutal murder of a innocent young woman. We hope it will bring a sense of closure to the victim's family while affirming the FBI and law enforcement partners' commitment to pursuing justice for those affected by violence. They did a wonderful job in this case, which is not always the case. So props to them in 2019 for doing their job. The investigation revealed that Chapman, after returning to Pennsylvania, pretended to be Jamie on Facebook Messenger and used her residence and money while staying at her home after murdering her. The FBI, the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office in Nevada, and the Bethel Park Police Department in Pennsylvania investigated the case. United States Attorney Penelope Brady, Megan Rutchow, and Stephen Rosa prosecuted the cases. I really love their speeches, and I'm happy in this case they served justice the way it should be. Jamie wasn't forgotten on a couch or shot at by 4 police officers. Again, check out my playlist so far. In her murder trial, justice was served, as it should be, in my personal opinion. Jamie's absence for a couple months affected not only family, but friends. Something to take away from this case. Always do a wellness check on your friends and family of disabilities, especially if you notice unusual circumstances like not seeing them for over a month or even just 2 weeks. Trust your instinct, and let's keep spreading awareness about disabled people. Their lives are just as important as someone who is not disabled. They're people too, and aren't always treated as such in these cases. Thanks so much for being here. Until next time at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on a Saturday. Peace. And in 2026, I will have a schedule, hopefully by January, but not a guarantee. So thanks for being here. Peace, guys. Bye.